Hi, everyone. How is everybody doing today? I'm Jeanette, and you're here with me and Veronica at the I
Hello.
Didn't See That Coming channel. We're going to be talking to you about some just really easygoing stuff today. We're both moms, and we're just going to
Sorry.
kind of talk about our experiences. Hey, we're moms, right? Like
Oh my
the
goodness.
the moms things happen, and
Yes.
we're just going to share some of our experiences. And if you're not a mom, feel free to join in with us anyway. If you're a parent or a caregiver, then this might be something you still find interesting. So take it away, Veronica. I'm going to go do some technical stuff on the Facebook side while you.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Sorry for the random phone ringing. um, you know, um, it's very interesting being a mom, especially being a blind mom to a sighted child. I get asked the most interesting questions. I think the one I get asked a lot is, "Oh, does your son try to take advantage because he can see you and you can't?" Well, I am knocking on wood because so far he has not tried to do that. But I think that's because my son has learned, from a very, very young age that um, one, he needs to talk to me at all times. I never allowed like pointing or anything like that. He learned very, very young that he had to communicate with me with words. So that helped. And anytime he tried to even attempt to get away with doing something that he shouldn't, he also learned very quick that I can hear him.
Oh, right. It's funny when you're blind,
Oh,
when
yes.
you say, I have eyes on the back of our head.
I
Those
was
are
just
our
gonna say
ears,
it's like,
actually.
yeah, it's like when they say you have eyes in the back of your head. Yeah, only for us it's listening. No, I can hear. I always tell him I can hear everything you're doing.
Yeah. And smell too. When my daughter was
Yes.
little, she would do ridiculous things like go in my bathroom and get into my nail polish, and I could smell it from the other
Oh yeah.
room. And she'd be like, Mom, how did you know that? But it's
Yes.
amazing what senses you develop as a parent to get around,
Oh yes.
all of that stuff. Hi, Blending. Hey, Lori. Thanks for being here,
Hey.
Cami. Hi. So I'm going to say a little bit of something about Miss Cami Campbell here. She is a really good friend of mine. And when Connor was really little, gosh, probably from age less than 1 until about 3, she was my full-time babysitter while I was working. And she's great. But one of the things that was so funny, speaking of mom's musings, is that she and my brother were dating at the time, and they had a kennel where their dog would like to go in all the time. But Connor was constantly going in their dog kennel. I don't know.
No.
I don't know what it was, but he just really liked being in that dog kennel.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, I could just picture that too. Oh no.
Blind Dad
Oh,
Life says, "Oh shoot, I'm a dad." Well, you know what? You're dad and mom
well, you're
because
a parent, so that applies.
you're a single dad, so you do it all. Uh,
Mhm.
it counts. Lori's a mom. She's a single mom, so she's doing it all by herself too. And that's another thing. When you're doing the parenting thing single, it is different, especially different when you're blind than when you're doing the parenting thing and you've got support. Veronica and I are both lucky that we have very supportive,
Yes.
um, sighted people in our
Mhm.
lives, but that's not the case for
That's not
everybody.
everybody. Mhm.
No, no. And for years, I was doing it by myself, and it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of scary things. Do you have anything like what was your scariest kind of like worry,
Oh
Veronica?
my
When
gosh. Um, I think my scariest worry was just thinking, am I going to be able to do this?
Mhm.
Especially after
Thanks,
Jonathan
Dina.
was born, it was like, how am I going to care for this baby by not by myself, but how am I going to do it? I have no clue, you know, babies don't come with instructions,
So
you know?
true. So
So
true.
I remember freaking out my partner because he took like a week off work, and it was time, he was like, okay, I'm going to go back to work now. And I was like, oh, you're what? What are you doing?
Mm.
What? Oh, I freaked out so bad. So much so that he had to call his mom to come and help me because seriously, I was freaking out. I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But thankfully she stepped in and helped and taught me, what I needed to do. But yeah, that's scary. Just, bringing home a baby and like you don't know what you're doing. You really don't. And that's the thing, like people have, like I hear um especially friends that are going to have kids for the first time, and like you're in that moment of like enjoying it, and like you really have no
Mhm.
idea how, what's the word, you really don't know what you're going to expect until you're in it, and it's so true. And I
Mhm.
hear people like talk about how easy it's going to be, and oh yeah, I'm going to have this and I got it all figured out, and then and then you bring the baby home and you're like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, and
yes.
it's so funny because as your child grows up, especially your first child, every age you don't know what you're doing. Here comes
Yes, every
another
stage is
thing I didn't
different.
know what I was doing.
Yes. Yes.
And then the second one, that's the interesting thing. For me, I had my children 17 years apart on purpose. I almost didn't
Oh,
have a second
wow.
child. But then as I got into my late 30s, I was like, "Oh no. This is if I don't do it now, I'm never going to have
Yeah.
a chance again." So I decided to try to have another child, and they they are right when they say the second child is the one you're just like, "Ah, whatever, just it's okay."
I
But
was gonna
like
ask that, is that if that was true, because
it's a real
I've
thing, yeah.
even had my sisters say that, "Oh,"
Mhm.
they're like, "Whatever," or I've had my sisters tell me that you forget everything
You kind
that you
of
have
do,
them
and when you
older.
have a child
Yeah.
of a different sex too, it's
Mhm.
almost like doing it over again.
Mhm.
Because it's so different, and that's like a whole I could have a whole show just on about, like, how do you talk to your kids when they start maturing into that
Mhm.
age that even you with Jonathan, just like with me and
Yeah.
Connor, they're just at that age now where they're realizing that their bodies do
Yes.
some interesting things. And
Yeah.
hey, Sheila. And the conversations, let me tell you, get uncomfortable.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they
But
get really
I would
uncomfortable.
rather I would rather talk to Jonathan and use, you know, right terminology than him hearing it from somebody else. I don't
Right.
know. That's
Oh,
just
heck
me.
yeah.
That's just
Hey,
always
Blind
been.
Pose. Sorry, looking at the chat.
But
I
it's okay.
wanted to say too, over at the Blending the Blind and Sighted, Bob, you're the one with the great memory. Was it last night or the night before that we were talking about the schools and uh, the curriculum for what was called sex education, but now is more like health uh, education or general overall sexuality kind of education. And what do they teach in schools? And do we feel more comfortable about being the ones that give our kids that information, or are we comfortable with the schools offering that? And it was a really great conversation. So go over to their channel if you want
Oh,
to
I gotta go check that
if
out.
you want to hear more conversation about that. But we just it's hard. I mean, you have a boy, I have a boy. You haven't had a girl before, but I did. And my daughter, was an easy child, but she was not an easy teenager.
Mhm.
Connor is an easy child. I hope he's an easy
I
teenager.
know.
I just really, really do. And
I
I
hope the same
remember,
for Jonathan too, that right now he's so easygoing, but when he gets older, I'm like, "Don't change." Hope
hi, Third Eye. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I'll be getting in touch with you, I promise. Got a lot of people. Let me let me check the
awesome.
comments real fast. Hey, there's my girl right there.
Uh-huh.
Kristen Stark. That's my
Hello.
beautiful daughter.
Oh, I enjoyed the video that you guys did. The um I forget when you did it, the conversation you guys had.
I did.
You guys
It got
should
a
go
lot
check
of
that
views
out. That was
too.
awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. We're going to do more of that. I am not sure how to pronounce your name. Yusuf? So, hope I did that right. Thank you for being here. Um, okay, I think that's it for right now. One of the things that I was going to say is I had a friend. We had a pact. We were trying to see who could get to the delivery room first, and neither one of us were pregnant yet.
Mhm.
Um, but we were doing everything. We were doing the ovulation test.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I mean, we were hardcore. It was competitive. We ended up.
Wow.
I ended up getting pregnant first, and unfortunately, it was a chemical pregnancy, and I lost that pregnancy. And so then I had to start all over again, and we still had our kids 6 weeks apart. Her
Wow.
son was born 6 weeks before mine, and I had this conversation with her, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm afraid. I don't know if I want to have a girl. I'm afraid. What if she, like everybody's worried about teen pregnancy. And Kristen, let me just say, I was worried you were going to do that. You didn't. She still isn't giving me grandkids, but I'm glad she's waiting until she's ready. So I
Good
will
for
wait too.
you. Yes.
But I was telling her name was Shauna, and I was like, Shauna, a daughter, I'm afraid they can get pregnant, and then if they're underage, then the parents are kind of ultimately responsible for the child, and then the child's child, and it scared
Mhm.
me. I mean,
Yeah.
and she goes, yeah, well, your daughter can only get pregnant once a year at the very most. Your son can knock people up as many times as they want. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh my God, thanks,
god.
you did
Thank you for
not make
that.
that easier. But it's a really true statement. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so true. And you're responsible if your teenage child goes and gets another child pregnant.
Mhm.
Ultimately, that father is responsible for that child. And if
Yes.
they're a minor, then yeah, that's a lot of
That's a lot of
responsibility.
responsibility.
It
Mhm.
it is. So I think that's why having those conversations with your kids are really, really important. And I don't exactly know how to have those conversations with Connor yet. I am just stepping in pedal after pedal trying to figure it
Mhm.
out right now.
Me too.
Um, but kind of the cool thing is that you and I have kids at the same age, so we
I know.
we can definitely we'll share with you as these things happen. I mean, we'll let you know how it goes, and definitely, please, in the comments, feel free to share your stories if you have any parenting stories or anything you would like to contribute. We would love to hear your input.
Your input,
Um,
yes.
so, what would you say, Veronica, was so far being a parent? What has been your most rewarding aspect of being a parent?
Hmm.
It was last night, by the way. Sorry to cut you
Oh,
off.
okay.
That show was last night.
I'm gonna have to go check that out. Sounds really good. Most rewarding. Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't put it down to just
One thing?
One thing,
I know,
because
right?
to me it's yeah, it's gonna
Did I lose you? Uh-oh. We might be having some technical difficulties.
I think I mentioned
Oh,
I'm
there you go.
oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, hey, 39 wins. No, I didn't even look at that yet. I need to figure that out. You want to help me? You can. 39 wins is someone that I play a game with.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought you couldn't hear me.
I know I couldn't hear you for a little
Oh,
while.
okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's great now.
Okay, okay.
So what you were
Um,
saying is you
I
can't
was
really narrow it down to just one thing because there's so
yeah,
many.
there's so many, but I was saying that, I'm a homeschool mom, and I guess the most if I had to pick something is the fact that I get to be here with him, all the time, and just to especially, like, for any firsts, like, I was here when he started walking and when he learned his first words, and I just can't put a price tag on that. I can't, you know, the fact that I got to see all of it so far is, I guess I would have to say that's the most rewarding for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, gosh. Let me address the comments really fast. We have
Okay.
Kristen saying thank you to you, Veronica, for what you said.
You're welcome.
And we have Chayla basically saying, I'm going to stay as single as long as I can, face screaming in fear. This is just paraphrasing. Uh, Kristen wants to know where you live, Veronica, like general.
I live in the Bakersfield area in California. For those of you who are not from here.
Right. Hamed, welcome. I bet Blind Toes, doesn't it go through everyone's mind? Blind Toes says teen pregnancy definitely goes through his mind, which
Oh
is,
yeah. Yes.
I'm going to call Kristen out here for a second. One of the things that she said when I was pregnant was, Mom, and she was 16, I think. Mom, I want a baby like that. That's all for me, just like with you. And then
Oh wow.
had the baby. And she was like, Mom, I never want to have a baby ever. So maybe that's the key to no teen pregnancy is have
Yes,
another
having
child
a
when you're
child.
kidding. I was literally joking with her. I was like, you are not allowed to get pregnant because I cannot say that my son is the same age as my grandchild. Because that would just be so weird.
Yes.
She didn't do it. And
Oh
I
wow.
was just talking to her last week and I was like, you can have a baby anytime you want. I mean, it's okay.
Oh.
um, okay, so for me, you know, let me make sure there's not. Hold on, let me get to the rest of the comments first. Yeah, blending is Lori saying that in this sing. I don't know what that means. Got you, but single in the sense one parent. So yeah, you were like one parent, just like Bob. Bob's got to handle all of the mom stuff and the dad stuff, and just one parent doing it all. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can see the comments and I can't.
Oh, Shayla says they're remodeling the house. I know a lot of people that are remodeling right now. You would think that people don't have the money to be doing that right now, but it's also like the time where I've known so many people taking on big home projects. Okay, I think I'm done with the comments. So for
Okay.
me, when I had Kristen, I was young. I was not expecting it. I was so scared. Um, I was 20 years old and I was not a grown up 20-year-old. I
Wow.
was just not
Mhm.
directed. You know what I mean? I was not
Yeah.
directed well enough. I was still kind of just living life, just doing whatever.
Mhm.
And they're really right when they say that as soon as you have that child and you hold that baby, no matter anything that came before, in most cases, parents, it's like an overnight change
Oh, yes.
because now this little person's relying on you and you're responsible for this other whole human being.
Mhm.
And I loved seeing all of her first, just like with you. Um, but I really loved just like watching the world like through her eyes, and the
Yes.
same thing with Connor.
Yes.
So the way the children perceive the world is so different from adults, and it's so uncensored, and they're not jaded by anything yet. They don't have any misconceptions,
Right.
and their little minds are so malleable, and it makes perfect sense why as parents or as society we can really change how our kids react to the world, interact with it, how they feel about different things, because they only get those conceptions about life for the first time from all this input from their outside
Mhm.
world.
Yes.
um, and Kristen being a little girl and Connor being a little boy, they were both very different in how they perceived the world and how they interacted with it. Connor is way more exuberant about it, like just he's larger than life a lot of the
Mhm.
time. Kristen was a little bit more reserved and just a little kind of easygoing. Um, but now, as Kristen being an adult and Connor being a child, one of the things that I have loved the most is when I get to see them together and seeing that relationship that they have with each other and the love that they have for each other is like a huge reward that I never really even thought about. It almost makes me like tear up just
Yeah.
because they're so cute when they're together and you can see that love, even if it's like Kristen going, I love you, do you love me? And he'll go, yeah. Do you love me? Yeah. But do you love me? Yes, I love you. And then 5 minutes later she's like, I'm gonna beat your ass. And I'm like,
Aw.
there's the love. All its glory.
You're like, "There it is."
Mhm.
So cute.
It is. It's great. And I was lucky where I got to raise my children separately. So they got all of me and I get, all this uninterrupted time. I have two kids, but I got to raise them completely separately and I really liked that. Um So do you have any stories that you can share of like maybe call it like your oops story, or like something that happened that you really felt you learned from?
Um, oh gosh. I think the one thing I learned when after Jonathan started walking was, don't leave any doors unlocked. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I made that mistake of the mistake of leaving our front door unlocked, the screen,
Mhm.
and I was putting something away and I heard the knob turn.
Mhm.
I didn't think anything of it, and, well, Jonathan had, ran outside. Thankfully, he didn't get too far away, but
Right.
still, that scared me. I'm like, "Okay, I know not to do that now."
Did you use those little doorknob doohickeys that are supposed to make it like,
No,
oh my gosh, I had to.
not for that
Especially
anyway,
as
but I did do it for the rest of the house after that. Yeah, we put
Mhm.
those knobs, but then he got too smart for them.
No, they grow out of it, but it works for a little while when they're at that toddler age.
Mhm.
It kinda works because their little hands just can't quite do that squeeze turn thing yet.
Yes. Mhm.
Um, so I think I probably have a lot of them, but with me, with Kristen, There were times, like I said, with the like fingernail polish and stuff, that she would just get into things,
Oh,
like
yes.
my makeup or my nail polish or whatever. And she's probably over there laughing right now if she's watching, because there was nothing I could hide from her, especially candy. I have never grown up out of my childhood stage of how much I like candy. I have candy stashes. They're everywhere. If I don't have sugar in my veins, I don't think my blood's going to flow properly. And I was always hiding it from her, because if she knew where it was, then I wouldn't have it anymore. But it never mattered. It just never mattered. She was so nosy. Um, Connor is also getting very, very nosy. But with Connor, there's this thing that he did that would drive me nuts. I lived in an apartment when he was really little. It's one of those apartments where when you're in the kitchen, you can look out into the living room because it's like opened.
Okay. Hmm.
And our couch was along the wall that was like where maybe you could put bar stools or whatever, but my couch was there.
Hmm.
And he would climb up the couch, and he would climb over the little serving up area, like the little platform
Hmm.
that was above, like a shelf. He'd
Hmm.
climb over, hang upside down, and drink out of the
Oh,
kitchen
no.
sink.
Oh, no.
And I could not get him to stop climbing. That was one of the hardest things when he was little, was I could not get him to stop climbing, and I could not get him to
Oh, that was
stop
Jonathan too.
throwing things at
Ooh.
me, which actually happened last night. I thought he grew out of that. But when he was little, I think he couldn't see well, and I couldn't see well.
Hmm.
And when he was in early intervention, they taught him a little bit of sign language, which does not work for me because I
No,
can't see it.
right.
So when he was trying to get my attention, the best, quickest way he knew to do that was by throwing something in my head.
Oh, no.
And I mean, he was really young, and it was something that we had to work with, and we had to teach him over time that if he wanted me to see something or if he needed me, he had to come physically touch my
Hmm.
hand and either put something in my hand or take my hand and then lead me to where
To
he
where, yeah. Mhm.
wanted the assistance.
Yep.
And he learned to do it, and we developed our own communication that way.
Hmm.
But it definitely took time, because the fastest route is wham,
Oh, yes.
come on, got your attention.
Oh, no.
I know, it's not good.
Oh,
um,
man, you're talking about climbing. Jonathan just would not quit climbing when he was little. He climbed everything. He climbed our entertainment center. I think what got him to do it, though, was one time he fell, and thankfully, it was nothing serious, but, oh, he would
yeah.
climb the entertainment center, climb on the chairs, on the
Hmm.
table, just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Climb, climb, climb. I'm like, "Okay, when is this gonna end?" Ugh. And I
The
know it's
other.
because they get curious and,
Hmm.
they're in that, they're discovering things and wanting to look at everything, so they're gonna figure out ways to do it. I know, but, oh, man.
Yeah, I it's interesting, and also the whole thing with when kids are experiencing their world around them, and they're learning. There's all this stuff. Like my son, one day when I was by myself, it was after my divorce, and I would work all day, and then I would come home, and it was just him and I in the evenings. I got a bowl of cereal. I was looking forward to a bowl of cinnamon life. I
Mhm.
remember it so clearly. I had my cereal, I had my sugar, everything's ready. I go in the refrigerator to get the milk. There's no milk. I'm the only one that lives in that house except for Connor.
Oh, no.
And I knew that there was milk there.
Mhm.
And I'm looking, he's only like 3 years old, 4 years old.
Mm.
And I couldn't find it. And I was like, hey, Connor, do you know where the milk is? He goes, oh, yeah, mommy. And he runs out of, runs out of the kitchen and gets it from behind a recliner.
Oh,
And I was like, dude,
no.
what are you
Oh,
thinking? But he thought that it was funny to take things randomly out of the refrigerator or whatever and hide them
hide them. Oh,
from me.
no.
Yeah, he just thought it was incredibly amusing, and I was so mad that day. I was like, "This is the end of the road for me. I am so tired of
Yeah.
it." You know how you have that moment where you break over
Yes,
nothing?
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we all have those moments where it's the littlest thing that just triggers this meltdown from hell.
Mhm.
I It's a normal human thing,
Yeah, it's
and
normal.
definitely a parent thing.
If you're not having any type of breakdowns like that, I would like to know what's your secret because yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any secrets. It looks like the last comment was from Chayla about the remodeling. I don't know if there were any after that, and maybe it's just not showing up. Do you see any
I
comments
don't know.
after?
I'm having trouble seeing them.
Okay, are you using your iPhone?
No, I'm on the computer actually.
Okay, if you're on the computer, if you hit I, does it bring you to comments?
No.
Really? Okay. Let me double check. I'm just thinking that there would be comments after that, but if there's not, that's okay. Um, one of the things that I was thinking when you were talking was about, and this is a really hard kind of topic about parenting, because I've heard stories about parents who have had CPS become involved or whatever because of the fact that they were blind and
Oh
they were
yeah.
single
Mhm.
parenting or two blind parents or whatever. Was that ever a fear of yours?
Yes. And it
Yeah,
still is. I'm sorry to say, but yes, it is.
yeah, it was for
Um,
me too.
I'm lucky. I'm thankful that that never happened to me, but that was and still is kind of in the back of my mind. Like I'm always thinking it's only going to take one person to see
Hmm.
something they don't like, and like okay, I remember this was after Jonathan was walking. He was about a year and a half maybe, and
Hmm.
I got one of those, you know, those backpacks
Hmm.
that have the they're like different animal backpacks, and you know they
Oh
can
yeah,
put
and you
stuff
put it on
in
their back and it
and you
has like
put
a
it on their
leaf.
back, and then you hold on to the
Hmm.
I got one of those because I saw a lot of blind parents do that, and I thought, yeah, but what are people gonna say when they see him like that? They're gonna think, you know, I'm crazy or whatever. But then I was like, you know what? No, this is about me knowing where Jonathan is at all times,
Hmm.
and this is so that he can't just run away from me. He can only go so far, and he'll still be next to me. Well, the first time we went out, I did have someone say, "Oh, why are you doing that to him? And that's, you know, you're crazy, and he's a little kid, and blah blah blah." And we just ignored it. I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. But um, yeah, I've always thought about that. Like, what are people gonna say when they see us? Um, all it takes is one person, and
Hmm.
s-
Hmm.
thankfully that it hasn't happened, and I hope it doesn't. But yeah, I'm always worried about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I did find more comments.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I think sometimes with StreamYard, I didn't want to try to refreshing it because I was afraid of losing the feed. But
Mhm.
I think with StreamYard, they don't, it's almost like it gets stuck and then they all filter in at
Oh.
once. Oh, Kristen was saying, I am not blind, but my little brother is legally blind. And that's right. My oldest daughter is not blind, but Connor is blind like
Mhm.
me. You're right. He says kids have a sixth sense for finding candy. You can't hide them from him. You
No,
can't
you
hide it from me
cannot.
either. Oh,
Even if you try to go have like something by yourself, somehow they figure out that that's what you're doing, and they come up to you and go, "Can I have some?" I'm like, "Dude, how do you know that's what I'm doing?" Oh my
oh,
goodness.
Tara. Oh my gosh. Tara is here and she's another family friend. and she's awesome. And I'm so glad to see you're here. Um, let's see. Shayla's saying that she could tell when her mom was eating chocolate because even if she was hiding in the bathroom, she could smell it. That's funny. I remember Kristen's dad worked as a distributor, like a wholesale distributor, and he was in charge of the alcohol, tobacco, and candy for a number of like gas station chains.
Mhm.
And every year he would go to this big, huge candy convention. I don't know where it's at, but it's like a national candy
Oh,
convention.
wow.
And he would bring Kristen back all like the new candies that haven't been released
Oh,
yet. I
wow.
was so jealous. I was always so jealous because she brought back all this candy and stuff that you never tried before. And sometimes she did kind of share with me, but I think more she was like, haha, mom, look what
Mhm.
I got. Um, but I like, I bought candy today. Can't deny, not gonna lie. And I shared it with Connor, but he saw where it went. So we'll see how much of it stays there. But okay, so on the subject of what you were talking about, I actually had the same fear. I still do. Maybe I should be more fearful of it now than I am.
Mhm.
But I think that I feel like I have I'm hopefully have enough already behind me as a parent, and I I feel like I'm one of those karma people. And maybe it's just an optimistic way of thinking about the world, but I really honestly believe that like if you're doing everything that you can and you're doing the best you can, then it should all work out. I know that doesn't always happen though. And I know that it's probably a little bit of a naive way of thinking about the world. I kind of know it is because I always felt
No,
like
but
with my job
I
that
would rather think of it positive than
right,
being constantly, like, thinking, "Oh my god, what if," yeah, that is
right.
actually a good way to look at it.
Right. Well, and I have known a number of families, not necessarily personally, but through friends and stuff that have had
Mhm.
issues where CPS was called out, and you're like, why did they not take that child? Like, you know, families who were maybe doing a lot of drugs and literally like neglecting their children or whatever. And really, I think that the situation has to be pretty extreme um, for them to actually come out and find issue with it. And I would hope that there's enough understanding about the world and that we're changing some of that understanding by those of us who are out there, um, being upfront and helping to educate. And I think that's kind of like one of the really important things is if we can educate the world at how capable we are as blind individuals, that education helps to break the stigmatism and helps to gain understanding. And I hope through that understanding that it will pave the way to a smoother like time for people in the future. Um, and I know there are going to be those rare cases. Hopefully, they're very rare where things are still done because you get one worker that's trying to be a hero, and isn't being considerate enough of the situation. And I know there are some tragedies that happen, but I think as parents, even if we aren't blind, um, any parent, you know, is going to have some sort of fears that way. Um, I was very lucky. I'm still been very lucky that nothing has ever happened. But I think we do our best to take care of our kids, and it's true what they say that you can be a parent and do the same parenting with two kids exactly the same way and have completely different children.
Mhm.
The nature versus nurture. kind of argument where they say, kids are only, a lot of people feel that kids are mostly a product of their environment.
Mhm.
And I don't I don't think that to be super true, because you can have the same environment, the same loving, considerate, compassionate, caring upbringing, and have two completely different kids with completely different issues, that are going to turn out very, very different.
Mhm.
So I know that we have to offer a healthy environment for our kids, and we want to show them the kind of person they should hopefully grow up to be. We want to give as much of that support, and we want to provide the best foundation we can for our kids. But for those parents that are out there whose kids maybe veer off track, I know there's a lot of blame sometimes. Like, what
Mhm.
could I have done differently? What should I have done? Why is this
Oh boy.
happening? Um, when there are so many factors that go into human makeup,
Right.
psychological, and all kinds of things, that these people can't possibly turn out the same. My sister and I, we're as different as night and day, honestly. My mom has 5 siblings, and they are crazily different. Um, I'm not going to get too much into my family on here, but I mean, everybody has the family, and you all know that you've got those people that are great and kind of go with the flow, and then you've got those ones that everybody's like, yeah, we know, we've got those family members too. Like, we all have a variety of different people in our lives, and our kids are going to grow up to be whoever they're going to be,
Mhm.
despite and because of our parenting. So of course our parenting can provide the best for them, but making mistakes isn't going to, you know, dramatically change your child unless you're just
No.
offering a really unhealthy environment.
Right.
Certainly those things do. But I feel like sometimes we give ourselves a harder time than we need to
Mhm.
when it comes to
I'm
parenting.
guilty of it. Oh yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard not to. I kind of feel like the bonus to having kids is that you have someone to pick on for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and I mean in a loving way, but
Yes.
I'll tell you this story that me and my best friend, her name was Christy, we lived next door to each other. Spent a lot of time together. Our kids spent a lot of time together. We took the kids to a lot of places. We did a lot of fun things together. And one of the things that we always told the kids, and I still say this to Connor, and if I ask him, he's not here, he would tell you
Mhm.
that if you're driving and your car runs out of gas, it flips over. I don't know why we came up with it. I don't know where it came. I know it came from Christy. We were just
Mhm.
driving down the street one day, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we're running out of gas. Oh my gosh, we can't. We got to get to the gas station. We don't want to flip over. Hurry, let's go." Like, seriously, I don't even know what happened, but it started this whole thing about if your car runs out of gas, it flips over. So I asked Connor now, "Hey, Connor, what happens if your car runs out of gas?" It flips over.
Oh wow.
But I learned how to be really lighthearted with my kids from my
Oh yeah.
mom. My
Mhm.
mom, when I was pregnant, my family, I was always gullible. Not as gullible as they thought I was, but when when I was pregnant with Kristen, my mom tried to tell me that I needed to use rubber cement and put it behind her ears to make sure
Oh.
that her ears would stick to her would not stick out from her head. And if I used
Oh.
rubber cement, then it would be waterproof. And when I gave her a bath, it would be okay. Seriously, she told me that.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I hope she never thought I would do it. I hope I never did it. But it's this running joke. Everybody knows that my mom told me to put rubber cement behind Kristen's ears to make sure her ears didn't stick out. Like, so I guess I learned from the best. And I picked on Kristen the same way. I do the same to Connor, but it's completely in love, and they know that when I
Yeah.
include them in the fun and in the joke and the lightheartedness, it just makes it makes life more interesting.
Yeah.
Let me see if we got any comments here.
Excuse
Uh,
the noise. My Speaking of my son, he's upset because he can't play a game and he was trying to get my attention and
oh, no, it's
yeah,
okay.
so
I could tell that you were busy. It was totally fine. I mean, we're parents, and we're going to be on here on Sundays, but it's not going to be trouble free. It's not going to be
no, it's
perfect
not.
soon. We're going to have kids coming in. We're just
Yeah,
it's life.
it's life.
It's it's just the way it is.
Mhm.
Connor's actually not here right now. I actually had someone in our in one of my groups. I think it was my Facebook Parents of Blind Children group, who watched the video with Kristen and I, and then watched another video and said maybe you could have your youngest son on to talk about what it's like being blind and going to school and giving like tech tricks and tips and tricks and stuff. And I was like, okay, I could do that, but he's 8. Like right now,
Yeah.
he just isn't going to be, he's not going to be the biggest well of knowledge.
Nope.
Um, and there's also the thing where I do have to research YouTube a little bit, and Tino may know this. There might be some of you out here that know this answer. If you do, please tell me in the chat. I set up the channel as a channel that was not for children because I don't want them to disable my comments. And I've been really hesitant to have Connor on camera because I've heard of other channels who have had kids that have been on camera and then they disable their comments just because their kids are there.
I've
So
actually had Jonathan on my channel, but that could be because we're talking about homeschooling, and I haven't had any issues with them disabling my comments, and I have my channel set up the way you do.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't do it all the time either, just once in a
Well,
while.
exactly. And
Mhm.
I figured there would probably be a time where we could have our boys on if it wasn't going to mess with anything. I would like us to sometimes have our kids on and just, we're parents. So why, I mean, kids are what we do.
Right.
They're part of our lives.
Yeah.
So certainly if it's not going to cause a problem, I probably would have no problem having Connor every now and then. And Chad says that Connor can hear me. He's told me a couple
Aw.
of times, "Hey, mom, I watch your video," and he wants to be a YouTube star. Like, who's that guy? Oh my gosh, that kid that
Oh,
makes all the money. That does
the
it.
one that
Ryan's
does
Toy
the
Review.
Ryan review, yes.
Yeah,
Jonathan
he
loves
says,
that.
"Mom, I want to have a YouTube channel like Ryan." I was like, "I want you to have a
Jonathan
YouTube
does
channel like Ryan
too.
too."
Jonathan always asks me, "Can I have a YouTube channel, Mom?" No. But I wanna put a place where I can put all my pictures because he loves drawing. I'm like, no, not so much."
Yeah. Tara Connor is doing excellent. We'll have to get together sometime, maybe. I mean, it's hard to say when the pandemic's over because it might never end. But I know you've got some things going on where you probably can't be exposed right now to anything harmful. But yeah, we'll definitely have to get together. Oh, got to go, ladies. Blind toes. See if Tina saying OMG, LOL. I don't know exactly what he was saying too. That's true. Oh, about the car flipping over.
Oh.
Kristen says that's true. I believed it forever.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Dino says that poor child's going to have panic attacks while watching the gas gauge. You know what? The good thing about Connor, well, at least for now, unless they have self-driving cars that actually are, legal when he gets older, he won't be able to drive, which is sad because he wants to be a school bus driver or a policeman
Aw.
or a fireman. And they're all driver-related
Mhm.
jobs that he's just not going to be able to do.
Jonathan wants to be a train driver.
I love trains.
He loves trains. Oh my goodness.
Your what don't stick out? Oh, yeah, no. Kristen says, "My ears don't stick out. It's the rubber cement." No, I'm just kidding.
That's too funny.
Hi, George. We can do a chat via Zoom if you'd like, Tara. Just get in touch with me. Oh, thanks. Okay, you're on Facebook, so Shayla, I must have did it right. If you're on Facebook and I'm seeing your chats, I'm hoping that I set it up correctly this time. Yeah, I know. A lot of people miss Connor. Veronica and our kids have never even met each other because we live in different parts of California. That won't be forever, but we'll have to go
Nope.
down that way.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
remember I was telling her, I was like, "Hey, I have a service animal who drives because Chad is my partner and he calls himself my service animal, and he drives and we have a car." So I told her that, and she's like, "Well, so do I." And I was like, "Oh, you're right. You do.
Yep.
You have a service animal that drives also. That's really awesome. We can get our service animals together for a play date."
Yeah.
Um, yes, Kristen says that she's 24 and she doesn't want to drive. And Kristen, you can tell me if this isn't correct, but from what I understand, she just doesn't want the responsibility of driving. And I have been with her once in our apartment complex when we tried to let her, me and my ex tried to let her drive our minivan.
Mhm.
She was freaking out.
Oh, wow.
It's just not her thing. And her dad told her, "If you learn to drive, you get a permit, I'll buy you a car." And I was like, "Come on, he's going to buy you your own car. Do it." And she's like,
Mhm.
"No, I don't want to do it." I was like, "Okay." I mean,
Wow.
I can
She's
understand
the
not
first
really
person
wanting.
that I've heard of because most kids are like, "Yeah, I wanna drive." Wow.
Oh, yeah. Tara, that might work after Memorial Day. Sure. Oh my. Okay, this is a good conversation. Noel Campos. Wow, I haven't heard from you in forever. Went to high school with Noel. Um, she was wondering about if we would feel. Hold on, let me get. Okay, being a blind person myself, I certainly wonder if you would trust yourselves basically with a driverless car. Like, would you put your trust into a driverless car? Right now, the answer to that for me is no, and for her it is too.
It's no for me.
And as much as I would love that independence, the reason for me, and I'll let Veronica answer hers as well, is because if driverless cars are anything like computers are, they glitch. Like your
Exactly.
computer doesn't work
Yes.
exactly right one
Mhm.
day, or from one moment to a next. I just can't imagine putting my safety or my kids' safety uh, as a blind person in the hands of a driverless car. Like I feel like you still need to have vision to correct anything that might happen,
Yeah,
and
I
without,
agree.
without fight, you know.
I mean, it sounds really good, and yes, I would love to somehow be able to drive, but yeah, I've thought about that too, like, what if there's, an error or, who's to say that car's not gonna, I don't know, go crazy, you know?
Exactly.
Um, so in that sense, no, I wouldn't trust myself in a driverless car or my child.
Well,
Nope.
exactly,
Mm-mm.
exactly. Shayla feels the same way. She says she wouldn't either. She said Chad is amazing. You're right. He is amazing. but he keeps himself so busy. He never has time for anything anymore. He's service animal extraordinaire to everyone. So he gives his time here and
That
there and
sounds like my
everywhere.
partner. Jason does that too.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, he's just a really generous, kind-hearted person that
Yeah.
just will help anyone. But it's often is to the extent that he doesn't have time for what he needs.
Yeah. That's
Um,
how he is too.
and I try to limit how much I ask for things
Me too.
because I understand that there's a lot of other people that don't try to limit how much they ask him to do. And
You
I
just
want
made
to
me
be
think
a
of something,
supportive
but I'll
partner.
ask you in a minute. Go
What's
ahead.
that?
I'll ask you in a minute. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. And just me wanting to be a supportive partner, part of what I feel I should do is not add a lot of additional stuff to that list if at all possible.
So, do you ever get asked by people, or do people ever assume that because he can drive that he takes you everywhere? Or like it's his responsibility to make sure you're where you need to be?
Yeah,
Because I
sometimes I
do.
do.
Oh, it drives me
Mhm,
nuts. Which is
mhm,
why I don't ask him, you know, I won't ask him unless, I really don't have another way to get where I need to be.
mhm,
Then yes, but most of the time I won't just because of that. I don't like when people make assumptions. I've had people tell me, "Oh, well, he takes you everywhere."
mhm,
Actually, no, he doesn't.
mhm. Well, for me, Chad does mostly take me everywhere.
Mhm,
Although I definitely want to get to the point again where I can take myself, and it's
mhm,
mostly the reason why I think he does take me everything everywhere more right now is because of the new mobility challenges I have. He he kind of anchors me like he's my stability. So I'm
mhm,
looking into trying to get a service animal that I can use. And this is so hard to admit, you guys. I'll get to the comments in just a minute. This is so hard to admit, being that I'm only 40, how old? 44 years old. And I literally walk like I'm drunk. I mean, I always did a little bit, but the neurological whatever that's wrong with me that
mhm,
no doctors can figure out how to manage or treat um, causes me to not really be proportioned with like my center of gravity, and I don't even know, it's just so wacko.
mhm,
Everything's out of whack. And when I walk through the house, I will kind of like tap a hutch, a dresser, whatever, just to kind of keep that stability,
mhm.
because I don't want to use a stability cane or anything in my own home if I don't have to.
Right.
But when I'm outside of the house, I can't walk in an open area without some stability. So, what I would like to do is get a service dog. I already have a service animal, but a service dog who will be, a senile dog that will be a little bigger than average, that I can use for stability and also use the stability cane. So the way I see it is like a dog on one side, a stability cane on the other. I am not afraid to go anywhere myself. I'm not afraid of using my mobility skills, but
Mhm.
it's my balance
Right.
that is a
No, that's
big
understandable. Mhm,
um, so he does take me more places than I would like to admit. I'd like to be able to say, "Hey, hon, I'm going to run to the mall today. I'll see
mhm,
you later. I'm going to take Connor," because when Kristen was little, I did all that stuff with her. We went everywhere. We would ride the train down to LA
mhm,
and visit my uncle. Like it was not a problem. I was very very comfortable with that.
mhm.
Kristen says that she gets very nervous even with other people driving. That's what her comment was. And she does. She's kind of, you're a little bit more nervous natured as an adult than you were as a kid, though, Kristen. So I totally get that. Um, Shayla says, if you guys don't want toddlers anymore, don't get pigs. Here's the thing, Shayla. You told me about your micro pigs. I just told Chad last week. Literally, it has not even been a week since I told him I want a micro pig. So,
Oh.
uh, get you guys together to talk, Amy. She said she'd like to talk to Connor soon. She says, Shayla says they have 2 pigs. It's they really have to stick to a schedule. She said, trust me, really have to stick to a schedule. They also have an Akita, which is a very cool kind of dog that I looked into getting, but then I decided not to because they said they're not usually always going to be necessarily good with kids. But they're beautiful dogs. They're
Sorry if you guys
Japanese.
hear Jonathan in the background. He's
It's okay. Well, I have to take care of my service animal. I said I take such great care of Chad. I gotta. I love him. Kayla says, I'd love to have a sighted partner someday. Okay, here's a question for you. And I don't want to take this stream too much longer, but we're kind of on a roll. Veronica, have you ever been with a blind partner?
Yes.
And did you feel that do you have any preference between having a blind partner versus a sighted partner?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't know if people do though. I just don't.
For me, I think it's more about, can the person keep up with the kind of lifestyle I want?
Yes.
I want to stay really active and always pushing to better myself. So it's more about, is that person going to also be that kind of person that's going to want to keep themselves and stuff? Not so much whether they can see, but I have never been with a blind partner. So
I have. It didn't work out very well. Yeah, that was whole other topic of conversation.
Well, and it may or may not have been due to the blindness particularly.
No.
But I don't think that would matter to me.
No, it wouldn't matter.
A blind person
it doesn't matter to me.
Independent and was a go-getter like I am, I think it would be totally fine. But it's hard to say because I've only dated sighted people.
To me, it's not really about blindness. Blindness doesn't matter. It's like you said, like I want somebody who's going to keep up with me. I feel the same way.
Yeah, I think the most important thing in my life, for the people that are in my life, are that with any relationship, whether it's parents, child, partners, I've always tried to be as honest as I can.
Me too.
Part of that, and I tried to instill this into Kristen too, was that, for one, you start telling lies and you start losing track. So what's the point? Like, you're just going to get caught. It's so stressful to lie. I know, because I did it when I was a teenager. I lied to my parents. I mean, we all probably did. And it's a stressful feeling to lie.
It is.
Because you're like, I'm going to get caught. And what is it going to be like? And that hollow sinking feeling you get in your stomach when you're worried about getting caught by your parents, that doesn't go away. And my mom's, I'm 40. Like, I don't have anything to worry about now, but if I did, I think that feeling would still be just as hard.
Yeah.
As a 44-year-old woman as it was as a teenager. So honesty is always the best policy. And if you're trying to be a good person, it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to be honest about those mistakes. And I always want my kids to know that, as well as my partner.
Me too.
I want that open communication. I want my kids to know too. I'm not going to be that person like my parents. My mom never tried to pretend she was anything that she wasn't. She was always unabashedly herself.
That was my mom too.
And my dad was more reserved, more what you would expect, a typical person. He's about 70 now, in that age group, the strong, silent father type. I never knew how he felt. I learned later that he used to smoke pot with his buddies when he was younger, and I never would have thought that. As a kid, if you would have told me my dad ever smoked pot, because I thought of him as being perfect. Like he must never make mistakes, just because he didn't openly share mistakes that he had made with me. Where
Mhm.
my mom would openly be like, "Oh, I did this when I was younger. You know, we used to sneak out and take the car or whatever." Like she would openly talk about those things,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm going to do with Connor. And I did that with Kristen too. I think I was fairly honest with her. I mean, there are things your kids don't need to know that aren't for kids,
Well, yeah, of course.
but especially when they start to grow up and become teenagers and they start thinking about,
But I think that's good too because you're not. I think they get to see that you're not this person who's you're not perfect. We're not perfect. None of us are, and none of us have it together. And we're human. You
hmm
know.
hmm yeah. And when you're telling your kids, don't do drugs, it's bad or whatever, your kids are not going to really think there's much credibility if you yourself haven't made mistakes or you yourself. I mean, and not all of us have done that, but
Mhm.
I know that I experimented with a lot of different things when I was at my younger years, and I
Yes.
would
Okay.
openly talk to my
Okay.
kids about
Okay. Shh.
that. Aww.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. We're about to end
I'm
anyway.
almost done.
Sorry,
Okay. I'm trying to help
Jonathan.
you. Okay.
Um,
People can hear
yeah.
you.
So I think the honesty is important. Bye,
Okay.
Jonathan. You want me to give your mommy back to you?
My friend says, "Do you want mom her to give mommy back to you?"
What was?
Mm.
Aw. I'm gonna look at the comments really fast
Okay. I'm
before
almost
we
done.
close
Okay.
it
You can go
out.
away from me.
Um,
Almost done. Okay.
No, what did your friend say?
If you wanted her to give, if I can't even.
and Shayla is saying that she grew up in a really
Okay.
mainstream environment and didn't
I'm
hang out
almost
with a
done.
lot of blind people, and that's the same for me. Until I joined the NFB within the last couple of years, I haven't been around blind people throughout my life.
I have.
It wasn't a thing for me.
I wasn't the only blind person at my school. I went mainstream too, but there were others. I wasn't just. Excuse me. I wasn't just. I was both with blind and sighted.
hmm
So.
Yeah, I was mainstream, so I went out of classes and used
I
technology,
was
but I
too.
was never in a blind school. I never went to a blind programs or blind specific camps or anything like that. So I never had experience with the blind world, and I think that's why for a long time I didn't want to do things like use a cane and things like that because I was never around anyone that showed me that that was normal.
Hmm.
So I always felt like I wasn't going to be like everyone else if I did that. I wish I would have been around more blind kids when I was growing up, but um, let me say, Noelle. So Noelle is saying that she would be fine with being with a blind partner, but it is nice to have someone that can drive and see the subtitles in movies. That's kind of what I really feel. I get it. But now movies are audio described. Let me
I
tell
was
you,
gonna
I
say
never
now they're
go
audio
to a movie
described.
theater now without doing the audio description. And Chad, the same. He's gotten so used to audio description that he actually turns on audio description
I
on
was
his
just gonna
Hulu
say Jason
and
does
on
that
his
too.
Netflix.
Yes.
He
We're
loves it.
watching like right now we're watching Cobra Kai on Netflix
hmm
and he always turns it on the audio description now.
Yeah, yeah. Chad does too. He
I
loves
love
it.
it.
It's actually one of the things we wanted to do for our channel, Chad and I, when we were going to start it a year ago, is we were going to do blind versus sighted movie reviews because
Oh,
everybody
nice.
was going to movies together. Now we
Mhm.
can't because movie theaters are closed. But once they open back up again, that's probably something we're going to do is like break down a movie from the sighted perspective versus the blind with audio
Oh,
description.
that's cool.
Because it's something we both really, really enjoy. Tina says hi to Noelle. They know each other. They went to high school together. It's like a high
That's
school
cool.
reunion, you guys. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the top. It looks like we've gone over an hour a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is end the stream here. But thank you guys so much for being here. And please, if you're on the Facebook side of things, look my channel up. I didn't see that coming on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, all that good stuff. My channel's only been up for, I think this is the second week now, so it's very new, but I'm small. Love your support. And also, you can find Veronica's channel in the description. I think it's called, is your channel called Somebody? Why does it say Somebody on it?
No, because it's just supposed to have my name. It's just
Did you?
Veronica.
Okay, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It probably showed up as Somebody just because I was using my phone. And you know how sometimes it'll say
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't recognize the person and put it
Mhm.
into it'll say it's Somebody. Okay. So her YouTube channel is in the description. And also, if you want more of me, you can check out a channel called Blending the Blind and Sighted. I am one of the co-hosts on the shows over there. I'm not on all the shows, but they are on every morning at 10 a.m. and every evening at 7 p.m. That's why I'm not always there, because I can't be there that often. But you can definitely check us out there, like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. We'll be live again next Sunday at 4 p.m. And I'll probably do an upload of a pre-recorded content sometimes towards maybe the middle of the week. So thank you guys so much for your interaction and for being here. It's been
It's
so
been
much
fun.
fun.
Yes.
And Tino, thank you so much for your help in the chat. And Noelle, it's been amazing seeing you again. Same thing, Cami and Kristen, thanks for being here. Blind Dad Life, Lori. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of you. I can't name you all off. But thanks, you guys, so much. Do you have anything to say, Andy?
Just thank you guys for the support, and thank you guys for the interaction, and sorry about Jonathan. And yeah, it's been fun. So yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see
Have
you next week.
a
Now I just got to figure out how to end. There we go.
cool. That was fun.